Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Pitlyk, I just want to come back to a question Senator Blumenthal asked, which I thought was a good one a couple of minutes ago. He asked about how litigants could be sure that they would get a fair hearing from you. And it occurs to me that you have, over the course of your career, in the last 2 years in particular, represented folks who, in the nonprofit setting, some of whom are indigent clients, folks who necessarily can't pay. You've represented folks whose views are controversial. So I imagine that you know what it's like to go into court and to maybe face skeptical judge, to face long odds. So my question is, having experienced that yourself as an advocate, will you be able to extend the same sort of, will you be able to have sympathy for folks who will come before you? And you may, as you've already said, you may personally disagree or as a policy matter or whatever, but will you be able to extend them that same sense of sympathy, having been there yourself on the other side of the bench?
Yes, Senator. I think that everyone who's been in the courtroom or who has brought a case to trial understands the importance of an impartial judge and of appreciating that you have been fairly heard and that your interests have been impartially and fairly adjudicated. And I agree with you that many times in the kind of work that I've been doing over the last 2 years, you become acutely aware of that concern. And I think I would bring that awareness to the bench.
Let me just ask you about the kind of legal practice you've developed over the years. You have, am I right in thinking you've developed a practice that's focused on the most complicated issues in a case and has focused on things like dispositive motions? Is that right?
That's correct, Senator.
Let's walk through. Have you ever drafted a complaint?
I have.
Have you ever worked on a motion to dismiss?
I have.
Have you worked on preliminary injunction?
Yes.
What about a motion in limine?
Yes.
What about a Daubert motion?
Yes.
Have you worked on motions for summary judgment?
Yes, I have.
What about some more specifically trial type things? Have you worked on requests for discovery or outlines for witness examination and jury instructions?
Yes.
All of those things?
All three, yes.
Have you worked on post-judgment motions, like motions for attorney's fees?
I have, yes.
And you've also developed a robust appellate practice, is that fair to say? Is that right?
Yes, I do a lot of appellate work.
So you've worked on many briefs in both the courts of appeals and the United States Supreme Court, as Senator Blumenthal alluded to. Is that
yes,
accurate?
That's true.
And if you've also conducted oral argument, is that right?
Yes, I argued in front of the Ninth Circuit.
What about substantive areas of law? Have you worked on administrative law matters?
Yes.
What about commercial law cases?
Yes.
Criminal cases?
Yes. I don't want to misrepresent my record. I have not focused in criminal law, but I have worked on several criminal matters.
And you have a wide-ranging practice in constitutional law, I think it's fair to say.
I think that's fair. Yes.
Yeah, those are my words, not yours. Well, my point is that hearing all of this, the breadth of your experience, to say nothing of your credentials, the idea that you are in any way lacking the necessary experience to be a district judge, I think is something that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And I have to say, I am troubled by the ABA's. I'm troubled for what they have done. I mean, their recommendation of you or their evaluation of you, I think is hard to fathom. And I have to say, I do think it reflects a bias within the ABA for the kind of work that you've been doing in the nonprofit sector, in which you've chosen to focus in the last couple of years. I know from having been a nonprofit lawyer myself for a period that often does not get the respect that I think it deserves, and the fact that you have represented clients who've taken the positions, their positions, not your positions, but their positions. I think also the ABA's recommendation or lack thereof shows a clear bias against them. So I would just urge my fellow members of the committee to look at your sterling record, your breadth of experience, and I'm proud to support your nomination.
Thank you, Senator.